Hey, what's up guys? This video is the second part of section A1, which is adding and subtracting polynomials. So you guys learn about different polynomials and the name of polynomials, but now we're going to start adding those polynomials, subtracting those polynomials, and then you guys need to find the answer when you guys add or subtract. So let's go ahead and look at some examples here. So when you guys start adding polynomials, you are going to combine like terms. So that's what I'm reading on the top. To add polynomials, that's what you do. You combine like terms. Make sure to keep the same variables with their corresponding exponents when you combine like terms. So I do have polynomials, two polynomials here on the screen, and you see the parentheses. Inside of the parentheses, we have one polynomial, and I'm just going to count the number of terms so I can give it a name. I don't know the name right now. So we have 1, 2, 3. So we have a trinomial, and we're adding another polynomial. So let's count how many terms. 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So that's a quadrinomial. So I'm adding a trinomial plus a quadrinomial. Now the big idea is to combine like terms when you guys add. This plus right here is just telling you guys in the middle that you're adding those two polynomials. And that's just common sense. Plus in the middle of the parentheses means addition. So what you guys will do is you are going to take the ones that have the same variables with the same exponents, and you're going to combine. You're going to put them together. And then you guys need to add or subtract the coefficients. So remember also that in the last video you learned about the standard form of a polynomial. So I'm going to start with the highest exponent because I always want the standard form for my answer. So I'm looking at the polynomials. So the first one, the highest exponent is 3. For the quadrinomial, the highest exponent is 3. So what that means is I'm going to start with the two terms that has the highest exponent. So I'm going to put them side by side. I'm going to have a 3x cubed, and I'm going to have a plus a negative 5x cubed. But guess what? I don't need a plus and a minus side by side. So I'm just going to keep the sign of the term a minus. So I'm going to put a minus 5x cubed right here. And that's what happens. If you guys are adding a negative, you don't need to put the plus. A plus, a minus is just a minus in between. Then I'm going to go to my second lowest term or exponent. And the second exponent is 2 because we start with the 3. Highest exponent is 3. We go down to 2. So I do have a plus 2x squared right here. So I'm going to put plus 2x squared. And in my other polynomial, I have a plus 3x squared. Now you guys are adding, but you don't put plus 3x squared. You don't need the 2 plus. You just put 1. So I'm going to put plus 3x squared. And after that, we are going to the term that has an exponent of 1. So I'm looking at my trinomial here, and I don't see an exponent x with an exponent of 1. I see a 3, a 2, not a 1. So I don't worry about that trinomial. But over here, I do have an exponent x with an exponent of 1, a minus x. So this minus x, you just bring it down. We have a minus x right there. That's the only x we have. So we just bring it down and keep the sign with the variable minus x. Once again, you are adding a minus. So you don't write down plus, minus, you just put a minus. And the last one is the constant. And I do have a constant, a minus 1 here, plus a positive 5 over here. So minus 1 plus a 5. I don't put a plus 2 times. I just put a plus 5. So now let's go ahead and combine like terms. So this right here, you guys have a 3x cubed minus a 5x cubed. Those are like terms because they have the same variable and the variables have the same exponent. So what you do guys, when you combine like terms, you keep, it says up here, you guys keep the same variable and their corresponding exponent. So I'm going to keep the x with the 3 exponent. But you guys need to add or subtract the numbers, the coefficients. And when you guys look at the coefficients, 3 minus 5, that's negative 2. Then you guys go to the next term. We have a positive 2x squared plus a 3x squared. So you guys keep the variable. You guys keep the exponent. Notice I'm not adding the exponents. I keep the same exponent. And you guys are going to add the numbers. 2, positive 2 plus 3, and that's positive 5. Now the next one, we have a minus x, but we don't have another like term. So I'm just going to bring that one down, minus x right here. And the last one, you guys do have a negative 1 plus 5. That's a positive 4. Now this one doesn't look very good for the answer, so I'm going to put them together. So my answer is negative 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus x plus 4. So you guys added the two polynomials, a trinomial plus a quadrinomial, and we got that answer. It is in standard form because the highest exponent is 3, and you guys go down 3, 2, 1. Notice we do have an exponent of 1 here, and the last one is a constant. Also, guys, remember that you need to know what is the leading coefficient. So, for example, here, the leading coefficient is negative 2 because that's the one with the exponent, the variable that has the highest exponent. So this number is the leading coefficient. Your constant is 4, positive 4. Your degree of the polynomial is 3. You guys can say it's a cubic polynomial, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is a cubic quadrinomial. Okay, let's try a couple more. Now, when you guys add or subtract polynomials, you don't really have to write every step because I know that we can add and subtract numbers mentally. So with this one, I'm not going to show you guys like I did on the previous slide. I'm just going to add or subtract the numbers and do some mental math and just write down the addition or the subtraction. So I'm looking at these two polynomials, a trinomial plus a trinomial, and I'm going to look for the highest exponent, and the highest exponent is a square. So I'm going to take 4x squared plus a 2x squared. Now do that mentally. 4 plus 2, that's going to be 6. And you guys keep the variable with the same exponent. So 6x squared. Notice I didn't have to put those together. I didn't have to actually write down the two terms. I just did it mentally. Then you guys go to the next term. So we have an x squared. The next lowest one is 1. So the x with the first power. So we do have a plus 6x, and we have plus a negative 9x over here. Now remember that a plus negative, that's actually just a minus. So you just take the positive 6 minus a 9x. You combine those two terms, positive 6 plus a negative 6 minus 9, that would be negative 3x. And the last one is your constant. So we do have a positive 7 plus 1. That's going to be positive 8. So your answer is 6x squared minus 3x plus 8. So look at the next one. Same idea, same concept. You guys look for the highest exponent. You guys go down to the lowest one, and you guys combine like terms. And when you're combining like terms, you guys keep the same variable with the same exponent. So let's look at the highest exponent. The highest exponent here is a cube. So notice we don't have another cube. On this one, we don't have another p cube. So what that means, guys, we're not going to add, we're not going to subtract anything to this term. So this one, just bring it down. You just have a 2p cubed. That's the only one we have, but you need it in your answer. And that's the highest one we start with. Then I go to the squares. So I do have a positive 6p squared plus a negative 2p squared. Remember, a positive plus a negative, positive 6 is the same thing as a minus 2. You don't have to say plus negative. You just say 6 minus 2. That's going to be positive 4. Keep the variable and the same exponent. So we have a positive 6 minus 2. That's a positive 4. Now the next one should be the p. So I'm looking at the p. We have positive 11p minus 9p. That's a positive 2p. And the last one is negative 3 plus positive 1, which is negative 3 plus 1, negative 2. So my answer is right here. Notice that every variable has a different exponent, 3, 2, 1. So these are not like terms. This one doesn't have a p, so you cannot combine more like terms. And the highest exponent is first. Standard form, 2p cubed plus 4p squared plus 2p minus 2. Now, let's go ahead and look at when you subtract polynomials. So on the screen here, it says to subtract polynomials, you must distribute the negative to the second polynomial and then combine like terms. So a couple things I want to underline here. You guys need to distribute the negative to the second polynomial and then combine like terms. So you guys see the minus in between the two polynomials. 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 1 minus, you're subtracting, there's a minus in between the parentheses, negative 5x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 5. So you guys are going to distribute this minus to the second parenthesis, okay? Now this one, there's no minus outside. So this polynomial is going to stay the same, and you guys need to bring that one down, okay? You guys don't need the parentheses anymore because you're not going to distribute a negative. So I'm just going to copy this down. 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 1. Now I'm going to distribute the negative to the second parenthesis. And keep in mind, guys, we do have an invisible 1 outside the parentheses, so that's a negative 1. So you are multiplying a negative 1 times a negative 5x cubed. That's a positive 5x cubed. You just multiply the numbers. You keep the same variable with the same exponent. A negative 1 times a positive 3x squared, that's a negative 3x squared. A negative 1 times a negative x, that's a positive x. And a negative 1 times a positive 5, that is a negative 5. So you guys distribute the negative first, and then you guys combine like terms. So now let's go ahead and combine like terms. We already distributed the negative. So let's start with the highest exponent. So the highest exponent is cube, the x cubed term, that's 3. So we have a 3x cubed plus, notice there's a plus next to the 5, plus 5x cubed. So you guys keep the same variable, same exponent, but you guys add the coefficients, 8. 3 plus 5 is 8. Then you guys go to the squares. So we have 2x squared, and we have a minus 3x squared. So you guys combine those two, and we have a positive 2 minus 3. That's a negative 1x squared. Now you guys don't need that 1 right there, so I'm just going to erase the 1, and I have a minus x squared. I'm going to use a little shape here so you guys know which ones I'm combining. So the next one is going to be the shape of a square right there, plus x. Notice that I don't have another x. So what that means is I'm just going to bring that one down because I'm not going to combine any other term with the x. So plus x. And the last one, guys, let me use a bubble. So we have the constants, negative 1 minus a 5. So look at those bubbles. Negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. And I like to use those shapes, squares. Sometimes I use rectangles. Sometimes I use triangles, bubbles, to show you guys what you are combining. You combine the squares with the squares, the bubbles with the bubbles, the squigglies with the squiggly lines. So you just look for those like terms and you guys combine. So notice it isn't, the answer is in standard form, 3, 2, 1, and then you guys have the constant, and you combine like terms. So let's try a couple more. So here, guys, we have those two terms, and I'm going to first, since we are subtracting, how do we know we're subtracting? Well, there's a minus in between the parentheses. This minus tells you you're subtracting, even though it doesn't say subtract up here, it says simplify. Simplifying means you add, subtract, maybe you multiply, maybe you divide, but right now we're subtracting. So I'm going to distribute the negative to the second parenthesis. You're going to multiply the negative times everything to the second parenthesis. The first one, this polynomial is going to stay the same. So I'm just going to bring it down, 2m cubed plus 5m squared minus 3m. I didn't change the signs. I didn't change any of the numbers. But now I'm going to distribute the negative to the second parenthesis. So the negative times a positive 2m cubed, that's a negative 2m cubed. The negative times the negative 8m squared, that's a positive 8m squared. And notice I'm just changing the signs. And that's what happens when you multiply by a negative to a parenthesis. You just change the signs of the numbers. And the last one, negative times negative 11, that's a positive 11. So let me use those shapes that I told you about to combine like terms. So the highest exponent is 3, 2m cubed minus 2m cubed. Think about it. 2 minus 2, 0. So those m cubes cancel. You guys don't have any m cubes anymore. That happens. The terms can cancel. But now I'm going to look at the squares. So the circle, positive 5m squared plus 8m squared. That's going to be 13m squared. And then I look for the m's. The next one is the m's. Minus 3m right here. There's no other m. So I'm just going to bring that one down. Minus 3m. I'm not going to combine anything else to that one. And then I look at the last one. The constant is a plus 11. I'm looking for another constant. We don't have one. So I'm just going to put plus 11 at the end. This right here is in standard form. You guys don't have any more like terms. So we got the answer. And the last one I'm going to show you guys, same thing. You guys are going to combine like terms. But first, you are going to distribute the negative to the second parenthesis. And we do have binomials. There's two terms. Binomial, binomial. So 1, 2 terms. And this is a binomial. So the first binomial, you just bring it down. You guys don't have anything to multiply the negative outside. So we have a 24y cubed plus y to the 5th power, y to the 5th power plus 12y. And the next one is going to be positive 9y to the 5th minus 11y. You multiply the negative times the second parenthesis. You guys combine like terms. So I do have 24y to the 5th power plus 9y to the 5th. That's the highest exponent. So 24 plus 9, that's 33y to the 5th. Then I go to the next term. So 5, I go down to 4. Hey, we don't have exponent of 4. That's okay. You guys go down to the next one, 3y cubed. We don't have one. So you guys go down to the next one, y squared. We don't have one. But the next one is just a y with an exponent of 1. So I am going to combine this positive 12y and this minus 11y. 12y minus 11y plus 1y. You subtract, and you guys don't need that 1 next to the y, so I'm just going to erase it, plus y. And the next one should be the constant, but we don't have a constant in there, so we got the answer. The answer is 33y to the 5th power plus y. Alright guys, so this ends my second video of the section A1, adding and subtracting polynomials. Make sure you guys practice your math, and if you guys like the video, you can subscribe, like my videos, and I'll see you guys later.